I see a bright future when it comes to America-Israel relations.
What about where we go from here in Gaza?
Until we will reach those goals, we cannot say that the job's finished.
We have some unfinished business still in this country that, was out there before the war started.
The relations between the three branches of government are sick, to be honest. We need to balance them.
Welcome to the One Jewish State podcast. We are broadcasting today from the Knesset, Israel's parliament, one of the most beautiful buildings in Israel, and undoubtedly one of the most important. And I am here with a very special guest, the Speaker of the Knesset, my friend, Speaker Amir Ohana.
Good to have you, David. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us here in this beautiful location. People think of you as the Speaker. They think it's analogous to my friend Mike Johnson, who's the Speaker of the House. What I tell people is that in Israel, there's only one parliament. There's only one legislative body.
It's a unicameral system.
So in a sense, you are perhaps even more powerful than Mike Johnson, although he might have something to say about that.
But Mike is the Speaker of the United States of America, so
that would be true.
We need to keep our proportions. But I told Mike, I visited Congress a year and a half ago. You think it's difficult to run a house of two parties? Try 13, which is what we have here.
It's a whole different thing. I remember once, I made a similar point once to President Trump, because I said to him, at a cabinet meeting, he let me sit in on a cabinet meeting, and I said to him, see all these people, the minister, the Secretary of Defense, Education, Health, state. I said, you picked all these people. I said, in Israel, the prime minister sits around the table. Half of the people there are not his. Half of them are against him. So it's a more challenging country to run. It's probably, in Israel, a more pure democracy. But we're not here to talk philosophy, but you're absolutely right. We're about 2 weeks and a couple of days from what I consider to be the most important speech, certainly by a non-Israeli, but I think the most important speech delivered in the state of Israel, maybe since the speech of David Ben-Gurion on May 14th in the library in Tel Aviv. And you presided over it. You were the Speaker of the House. It was on your home court in the plenary of the plenum of the Knesset. You presided over the event. And so the first thing I want to ask you is just, you were front row center in one of the most historic events in this nation's history. What did that feel like?
There was nothing like it. Even the elders of the Knesset that were here during the speeches of Presidents Carter, Clinton, and Bush, they said that the room was full of electric.
Yeah.
The atmosphere was elevated. And it was indeed an historic day, something to be remembered even centuries from now. And of course, it was a script no one can write. 2 years exactly after the darkest day that this country has known, that will go down in history as the darkest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, October 7th. To have the leader of the free world, the president of the United States of America, coming here to address the people of Israel, to tell them, we have managed to bring all the living hostages back. And at the time when he was speaking, all the hostages. Later, Hamas broke the deal.
Yes.
But at the time, we didn't know that. Exactly 2 years after that day was something that I really wouldn't have imagined. And I'm so fortunate to be a part of that history, as you stated. It was worth everything.
What I thought the president did in particular, and look, you spoke first. I thought your speech was beautiful, uplifting, and just I think it set the tone off exactly right. Then, of course, we heard from the prime minister, we heard from the opposition leader, and we heard from the president. And I think everybody performed, at a very high level. What I thought the president said that I think the country was desperate to hear was the war if it's not over, it's going to be over. I mean, this war, you can start thinking about it in the past. You can start looking at it in the rearview mirror. The living hostages are now home, right? There's no question who won the war. There's no question what Israel has accomplished, whether in Gaza or in Lebanon or in Syria or in Iran. Of course, in the case of Iran, with incredible help from the United States, very courageous help from President Trump. It was against the will of many people in his own party. And he delivered that speech to a very grateful nation who were desperate to hear that their lives would begin to return to some level of normalcy with a complete victory. And I don't think anybody could have said that, within Israel because, it would be political. Here it was as you say, the head of the free world. I told him when he called me after the speech, you lifted an entire nation on your shoulders and you brought them out of this pit of despair. And you could feel it, right? I mean, you could just feel it in the room.
President Trump is a very, very special person. He's not just another president. With his unique personality, he really uplifted the people of Israel from those dark 2 years, very difficult 2 years. And I think, first of all, you know President Trump better than me. He has a great sense of humor. We were talking to each other as the session went on, and I sometimes had to hold myself not to laugh. He's a great person, very kind, very thoughtful, and the speech was phenomenal. He didn't always follow the text, you could tell.
Yeah, you could. He never does, so that's okay.
Yeah. It was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Really, I wouldn't miss a word of what he said. And indeed, the people of Israel was desperate to hear that, to have this feeling, to have an uplifting day after so long. And it is not only a day. This day is a turning point in the history of our country. And I see a bright future for this country, for the region. I see an expansion of the Abraham Accords. I was fortunate to be a minister in the government that signed the Abraham Accords. You were back then the ambassador. You had a pivotal part in it. And we were about to expand it even further as October 7th occurred.
Yeah.
And now I think we can go back to that path. I have no doubt that this will be the case. And we will see a bright future for this country. We are so strong, so much stronger than we were before. We have demonstrated a resilience, I think, like no one else could have done.
Yeah.
Through our holy soldiers that have been fighting for the 2 years, our leadership, Prime Minister Netanyahu, our great friends headed by President Trump. I see a bright future ahead of us. And I see also a golden age when it comes to America-Israel relations.
I think you're right, and I see it the same way. When he, people don't appreciate it, I think, enough, what we call the 12-day war, because it happened so fast, and by the time people started paying attention, it was already over. But for Israel to destroy the air defenses of Iran, nobody thought that was possible. I mean, they opened it up where you could just fly back and forth without any issues. And because of that, the prime minister was able to go to President Trump and say, you know what? And I'm sure this is what they said because I wasn't in the room, but I'm sure he said to President Trump, you fly in your B-2 bomber, and I will guarantee you it will go, drop what it has to drop, and come back safely. And so this was. I don't think we've ever seen a level of cooperation like this. I don't think we've ever seen Israel and America really fight a war together like this in such close cooperation. They were dependent upon each other. America was dependent upon Israel to keep the skies safe. America didn't have as much air power as Israel had in the region. And Israel was depending upon America. Take these B-2s from Missouri, fly 37 hours back and forth to thread a needle and to destroy, Fordo and other nuclear facilities. And what's interesting about it, in America, it angered a lot of Republicans, because people said, "Wait a second, you're not supposed to go to war anymore, let alone for Israel." I mean, but the president, had the courage of his convictions to do this, and the dividends were enormous, because I think once the moderate Arab world saw that America is willing to put its prestige and its power and take risks to combat Iran, I think everybody at that point began to fall in line, and that was like the first step to a series of steps that led to the release of the hostages and this development. I'm sure you were watching it in real time. You were there in the room watching these decisions, watching the computer images. I mean, what was that like? I mean, it's almost like 1967 all over again, where they just took out all the air defenses in such a short period of time.
Short while ago, a few months ago, I have been to Geneva. We had an interparliamentary union session. So heads of parliaments from throughout the world. And believe it or not, I was interacting not directly with my Iranian counterpart. And he was blaming us for false blames of starvation in Gaza and so on. And I told him, "You sure spread lies better than you do air defense," which is one of the reasons we managed to win this short war. Indeed, it was crucial times. If it would go the other way, I don't know if we would be here right now. But it was a brilliant manifestation of accuracy and precision and intelligence.
Yeah.
Our intelligence services that managed to prevail.
And you're right, because there was no margin of error. I mean, this was either going to be a phenomenal success or a real failure, like a historic failure.
I think one of the reasons that President Trump took the decision to join in is that he saw that
Yes.
we have a plan, we are working accordingly, we have success, and I think it helped him to accept the decision to go in and also to bring precision to this operation, which eliminated Iran's long-time nuclear plans that were aimed to annihilate this country. And not only this country, because in the Iranian parliament, what you hear is not only death to Israel, but also death to America.
Yeah.
So your enemies is our enemies is yours. And we need to stand together, not only America and Israel, because far from being a local battle, and this is something President Trump brilliantly understood from day one, and other leaders didn't. Far from being a local battle, this is a global struggle between the forces of radicalism and extremism and fundamentalism and those of freedom and liberty and democracy, which is exactly what Israel represents in our region. This is what Hamas went after. This is what Iran went after.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to stand together is the only way to win this thing. And we have won it.
Certainly have. And I don't know if people understand enough or emphasize enough the fact that, Israel, President Trump was not going to just reflexively give Israel whatever it wants and help it. He wanted to see that Israel was up to the challenge, up to the tasks, that it was a full partner in this effort. And I was with him the day that the beepers went off, the pagers went off, and from that moment forward, I can tell you his level of the level by which he was impressed with the quality of Israel's intelligence, their military operations, their ability to effectively target their enemies was just off the charts. And of course, from there it went to Nasrallah, Khania, and Iran, and of course, culminating with this 12-day war. Israel's an incredible country. I mean, the things that you can do are incredible. People say that Israel's a regional superpower. It's really on the cusp of being just a superpower, all-in superpower. It can do things through its intelligence capabilities and its technology that very few other countries can do.
We have no choice. We have, as Golda said, nowhere else to go. You remember the meeting with 50 years ago between the Prime Minister of Israel and the young American Senator,
Yes.
Joe Biden.
Yes.
And he was wondering, how is it that Israel wins every war? She said, we have a secret weapon.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a submarine, a missile, a rocket? What is it? We have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And this is indeed one of the sources of the Israeli resilience. We were born into a world in which you have a Jewish state. The elders that still remember how the world looked like when we didn't have one, they know it was a very bad world to be a Jew in. And we are determined not only to come back to Jerusalem, as we were expelled forcefully for 2,000 years, but to stay in Jerusalem and to be here. And you were also the American ambassador when the historic decision of President Trump was taking place to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to move the American embassy, which many presidents promised to do for so many years, but only President Trump promised and fulfilled.
Thank God it's still there, even through a Democratic presidency. So I think it's there to stay. You know, in America, you're watching it. You're not feeling it probably as some of us are, but we have anti-Semitism at levels we haven't seen since the 1940s. New York City, which has more Jews than any city in the world, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, is about to elect an anti-Israel, radical Islamist mayor. And people say, well, are we going back to the dark days of the 1940s? And there is only one difference:
the Jewish state.
Jewish state. And I hope we don't need to test that thesis that the Jewish state will be there for all the refugees from all these countries, but it is there.
The sad fact is that so many Jews are going to vote for this mayor that you have just mentioned.
Yeah.
This is very sad. We need to learn from our history.
We have a sickness. We have a sickness. I mean,
Yes.
as a people, we feel the need to prove how unselfish we are by doing things that are against our own interests. And it's been around forever. I mean, I don't know what to do about it. But again, it's not as it's Israel is so strong, and it's as they say. I think it is starting to. It's climbed out of the trauma and the despair. I think, the future. I agree with you. God willing, looks incredibly bright.
But not only from our point of view, but also New York is a symbol. Is a symbol for prosperity, for capitalism. Yes, we believe in free markets. We believe in capitalism. And to have New York vote a communist, he's not even a socialist, as their mayor, this is something beyond my understanding.
Mine too. So we won't get any further on that because neither one of us understands it. What about where we go from here in Gaza? There's a 20-point plan. It's on a piece of paper. It's very smart. It's a very good plan. Israel has clearly got the better of this plan. I mean, it's all centered around Israel's demands. The prime minister, I think, handled this brilliantly. Hostages are back. All the countries of the world, even Qatar, just recently criticized Hamas. Even the Red Cross just criticized Hamas. So everybody's on one side and Hamas is on the other, but it's still Hamas. With all the things you can say, it's still Hamas. They're still ruthless, barbaric killers. And while everybody has said they have to disarm, so far they haven't agreed to disarm. You're closer to this than almost anybody. Where do you see this heading?
First of all, no one thought that we can reach the last Hamasnik.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, 80 years following the Holocaust, there are still today neo-Nazis in the world.
Sure.
You still didn't get to the last Nazi. You have Nazis in the world. What you don't have is Nazis presiding over Germany. Mm-hmm. And that must be the case in Gaza. This is the deal that we were willing to sign. And this is the Trump's plan. So we will insist for a full implementation of that plan, including the disarmament of Hamas, including the return of all the remaining hostages. We still have dead hostages held by Hamas. They didn't bring them back. Their families need them. They're desperate to get them back.
Sure.
to bury them in the Holy Land of Israel. And until we will reach those goals, we cannot say that the job's finished. It's not finished. But, of course, we are very fortunate still to have all our living hostages back, to maintain security in the very high level in most parts of the country. And I think it's a matter of months before we can expand the Abraham Accords with other Arab countries. And as someone who was very involved in the original Abraham Accords, I think you can relate to that.
I can, and as valuable a partner as Israel was in 2020, because at the end of the day, I tell people, it's not that the United Arab Emirates all of a sudden, read Theodor Herzl and became Zionist. I mean, these are agreements that fundamentally are win-wins for everybody. Everybody gets something important to them as part of this, including America. As valuable a partner as Israel was in 2020, I mean, it's off the charts how valuable what they've done and what they've shown that they can do. I think
deeds, not words.
Yeah, deeds and not words for sure. I think the moderate Arab countries want to be with Israel. You probably have had conversations, I'm sure, that are off the record with people that I want to ask you about, but I'm sure you're hearing that privately all the time.
Well, throughout this war, I kept in touch with leaders of many countries, including Arab leaders. Of course, I will not quote by their names, but all of them were very, very supportive of our efforts to wipe out Hamas. Hamas is as much an enemy for them as it is for us. They couldn't say it out in the open. We understand politics, but we are determined to do that. And we will eradicate Hamas in the way that I have just stated.
So we're moving forward, we're moving upward, but we have some unfinished business still in this country that, was out there before the war started, hasn't gone away. And you're presiding over the Knesset. It can only get resolved inside the Knesset. You're the boss of the Knesset. Give us a sense of where you see this going. If not being resolved, at least the tensions being brought down a little bit.
The relations between the three branches of government, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive branch, are sick, to be honest. We need to balance them.
You were the justice minister.
I was.
You know this well.
I was.
Yeah.
I was a lawyer, an advocate, and we need to amend this. We need to correct this. This is where we were going before October 7th. Of course, it was a matter of dispute. It was a matter of controversy, but it was not resolved yet. So we need to do that. I hope that we can manage a wide agreement, even if we would have to compromise on certain aspects that we see essential. But this is basically what we are talking about when we are talking about the judicial reform, as it was called.
Tell me about, who else has graced the Knesset over your term that you recall? What foreign leaders have come here that made an impression?
Well, a few months before President Trump came, we had President Javier Milei. My dear good friend, I love this guy. How can you not love him?
And he's just coming off a huge victory.
Absolutely.
The last couple of days.
I visited him in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in La Casa Rosada, the Argentinian White House. And it's actually the pink house. This is the translation. And when we met for the first time, I could tell how much he cares about the relations between Argentina and Israel, how much he loves the Jewish people, and how much we share on economy, because I am also a free market person. I support capitalism. I'm not afraid to say that. Even on the verge of libertarianism. When he heard that, he was so happy. And then he told me, I wanted to see something. And we got up. He opened a door and he showed me a mezuzah. He was so proud of it.
Yeah.
So he has a very warm heart. He loves the rabbi. He loves the rabbi.
He went to the grave.
Yes,
in New York.
Indeed. So we had President Milei. We had before him President Peña. Santiago Peña of Paraguay. Paraguay has been very staunchly supporting Israel.
They have an embassy in Jerusalem now, I think, right?
Well,
Right.
we actually went to Asunción, to the capital of Paraguay, to inaugurate the embassy, the Israeli embassy in Asunción. And following that visit, we have received a counter visit in which they have inaugurated their embassy in Jerusalem, following the footsteps of America, of the United States, of President Trump, and other countries as well. And we hope all countries will bring their embassies to the one place they belong, Jerusalem, the capital of Israel.
I had a chance to speak with President Milei's team, not with him directly. I don't speak Spanish, but I sent him a message. I said, don't make the mistake of Jair Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro came into power in Brazil. He was going to move the embassy, and every day he said he was going to do it. And he even called me a couple of times. I gave him advice on how to do it, and he never pulled the trigger. And now, unfortunately, he's fallen upon hard times. I said to him, if you don't follow that path, you've said you're going to.
If you want to shoot, shoot.
Yeah, if you're going to
talk.
shoot, don't talk, right? And he's, I'm pretty confident from what I've heard from him in his.
Well, he actually declared over the Knesset's podium next year in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I think that.
He said that next year they are inaugurating the Argentinian embassy in Jerusalem. We are very happy about that. And we are fortunate to have such good friends.
Yeah, thank God. Okay, so what's next? A year from now, we have
Playing guitar.
You're playing guitar. Well, we'll probably weave into this discussion some film of you playing, me playing, Huckabee play. We've played in every permutation with each other. You're the best, by the way. I mean, just to be clear, you're an incredibly skillful guitar player.
I'm sure I'm the best guitar playing speaker.
There's no question about that.
But I have way better than me in Israel.
I haven't seen that many. And Huckabee's a great bass player, and I'm a.
And you are.
I know I'm not. But
You're a rock star. Come on.
Well, I was called that, by the way, by Gideon Sar.
Sweet home, Yerushalayim.
Do you know that Gideon Sar, when he introduced me, I spoke at the Knesset. He said, we honor the rock star. He called me a rock star. So, but I'm not. But it was very nice what he said. But
It's more fun than politics, right?
it's a lot more fun. It's very relaxing. So we'll try to throw in a couple of frames of that in this podcast. And let's just finish up. Tell me where the elections are going. You think it's on time? The elections will be held.
I wouldn't say on time, which would be October 27th of 2026. I would say before, probably either September, maybe June.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, I hope we can gather even more achievements. And as I said, hopefully even expanding the Abraham Accords and ask for the people's trust once again. I hope we'll gain it.
Well, I can tell you that there are millions and millions of Americans who are rooting for you and rooting for the state of Israel and pray for the state of Israel every single day. And
I want to use this platform to thank the American people. We know that those extremists that were shouting on campus and others, we know it does not reflect the vast majority of Americans on both sides of the political aisle, by the way.
Yep.
Standing with Israel, standing not only with Israel, but standing for what's right and for what's true and for the free world. And I want to use this platform to thank them from the bottom of our hearts as Israelis and as a speaker of the Knesset that represents the whole people of Israel. This will never be forgotten. And as I told President Trump, we are a nation that remembers.
Well, we remember as well, and we will always be with you. And with God's help, from here we should just have success and peace and good health and prosperity and opportunity and an expansion of peace in the region. And I think you've got the right people in the government right now to make that happen.
Thank you, David. Amen. God bless America and God bless Israel.
Amen. Thank you. Pleasure.